The exhibition is not a competition. This is not a competition. It's about opportunity. And what this is about is why. Why did we do this? Why are you here? All of you are courageous winners, and I mean that. Every one of you are first place winners as far as I'm concerned. The courageous winners, that's why you created artwork for this exhibition. That's why you did it. And why you were invited is the reason as well. The act of creative process in itself, when you're working on this, it's an altered state of consciousness. It is. It's not something that you do on a regular basis. It's a deep meditation process. And what comes of it is what makes the difference. And it has throughout the world since the beginning of circumstances where humanity put the first handprint on the wall of a cave and the first chip and stone throughout the world. It is the heart of humanity. That's what art is. And I can tell you that I've seen it. That's what it feels like to me. The creative process is an altered state of consciousness, a higher level of spiritual communication. And the consciousness, the meditation of it is how this happens. I mean, from the beginning, that point of that handprint, that point of that chip and stone is the heart of humanity. That's how we got here. That's how it makes a difference throughout the world. Everywhere you go, art has been the heart of the whole thing. It's humanity with great insight. And the process of your creating work is that's what this show is about. And each of you are those points of the radius. Understand that. I'll tell you something else, the sacred circle of the heart of humanity with the power to make a difference. It is. This has the power to make a difference. And that's why the circumstances of what this exhibition is and the Kerf International exhibits came out of Minnesota. Because when I left Alaska, we went to Minnesota because that's where I found a teaching position. And that teaching position was something that actually made unbelievable difference there. I opened another gallery, a 3,000-foot gallery in Minneapolis. And that gallery showed what happened there was the circumstance of where the downtown area was where all the artwork was, but nobody could afford to be there anymore. So it wound up in northeast Minneapolis, where all the warehouses and all the old industrial district of it. What happened there was that's where all the artists moved. And when we were there, Kerf International did exhibits there, and those exhibits brought all the artists in. And my friend said, let's create a studio tour. That tour turned out to be an international event, which went all the way to England and back again. And that turned into something that was called Art World became an event that's historic in Minnesota. They were, once a year, they did this studio tour. Those one weekend made $40,000 every weekend that it showed. It was incredible what the success of that was. And that was something that's still there. It's still there. The same way that in Alaska, what we did there was the International Gallery of Contemporary Art was started there. And that was a small organization. It turned out that it was I started showing artists' work in my studio. And in that studio, that's where they began to get their ideas, and that's where what happened, they began to have the newspapers come and write articles about their work that they were doing. And that was something that was unbelievable in its own regard. But one thing that happened as well, I again had to leave. I left Alaska. I went to Minnesota, okay? What happened in Alaska, this young lady here, Diane Dunn, was about 20, if I'm not mistaken, and somewhere around that age, she was the one that was part of the original group that started that, and she was the person, the individual who recommended that they would become a nonprofit organization. That was 30-some years ago. 30-some years ago. The International Gallery of Contemporary Art is still in existence as a nonprofit organization in Alaska. There are artists in this show that are from Alaska. And this ongoing circumstance of discovery, rediscovery, and the idea of individuals becoming part of the whole circumstance of opportunity. It is the opportunity that makes the difference. And one of the things I would tell you about what's something that is in this particular circumstance right here, right now, we are having a four-dimensional experience. This is a four-dimensional experience. Every one of you and all the rest of them that are not here now are part of this. The ones, everything that's on these walls are part of a four-dimensional experience. The definition of the fourth dimension is 3 coordinates plus time. Every one of you are coming from different points in time, different experiences. The whole unfolding of all of this is that important. Where it goes from here is another point altogether. We have made a significant impact on this circumstance and the potential of making the circumstance of the future for Kerf International and what its goal is. And the goal is something that comes back to something right here. How many of you have read and understand what this circumstance is about that I put here? Anybody? A few of you know what it is. But this right here are 2 pages from this book. This is the person that I wrote to when I thought that this needed to have support, financial support. I went to the highest points that I could find. The highest point was Melinda Gates. And I contacted her personally in regard to the potential of support from the NEA as a project grant for this exhibition, this one, but it's also something a step beyond. 50 women artists, 50 women, that's the other half of humanity, okay? When I say that, you understand what I mean, okay? It's the other half of the persons who are part of the human race and where we are around the world. You deserve the same equality as the other side of it. That's what this is about. And when we wrote the book, I sent a project grant to the National Endowment for the Arts in order to support this 50 women exhibition. It is an extraordinary possibility. That's why this is part of it. 30 women here in this exhibition right here, 30 women from the one in 2015. That's 60 women, okay? You deserve that recognition. You absolutely deserve that. And I want you to know that. And that's what this whole circumstance is, what is unfolding in the future in 2020, 2021. That's when we're proposing another exhibition for that event. But one thing that happened when I read this book, a friend of mine, Fred Parrish's wife, showed this book to me. And I thought, my God, that's exactly what I need to do is understand where this is coming from. I couldn't believe, and I can highly recommend it, if you read this book, it's gonna change the way you think about who you are in this world as a woman. It is unbelievable what's out there and why it's happening and why it can be changed. It can be changed, but because the reason why is the potential to create that event with the National Endowment for the Arts in order to try to get this funded for an international exhibition that would go be exhibited 4 years around the world. That's what this is about. And anyway, that's it. If you get a chance and if you haven't read those, I would highly recommend it, because it was an event that when you read this, it's about women throughout the world who are not even given the time of the day. I mean, serious stuff throughout the world. And you already know this, but I was amazed when I read this. And one thing that changed my mind about something was one event that's in this book. One event. The event is an art event. It was one girl in India, an untouchable that lived in a city dump. The whole society of the untouchables, that's where they live, okay? And this girl, when one of the aristocrats that came there to talk about getting women put together so that they could change things, that event, this gentleman, Gary Darmstadt, was the founding colleague. This girl, I don't know what her age is, but I can tell you she probably wasn't no more than a teenager, if even that. She walked up to that man and gave him a piece of junk that came from the dump. We're talking about a terrible place. She had made a bird and gave it to him as a gift. And when she did, she said, "I want a teacher. I want a teacher." She said it 40 times within the hour and a half of him being there with Melinda Gates, okay? And 40 times, over 40 times, she said that to him. He didn't know what to do with it. But the thing about it is, if you look at it and read this circumstance, she got a teacher and is now a college graduate and no longer living in the city dump of a town in India. It's a wondrous story. It is this. It is what we can do if you understand what the potential of this is. My thinking is that the individuals that are here today and the ones that are in this exhibition, if you come together, there's another individual that deserves to be seen. Lisa Watt. And another, I'm glad you're here today. That's important. But if you come together as a group, this group, 30 women, if you come together and come together as individuals the way that you can and actually make a difference, because if you come together and create a circumstance of administration and membership, you can pull this together and become part of that grant proposal with your names, 30 names on that goes to Melinda Gates. That's my proposal. I can only do so much. We've done this, and as I said, this all came out of Alaska. And I am so grateful for what happened to me up there as an individual, because I was given opportunities I never dreamed of, because they supported my work. They supported the fact that I was showing other artists' work. And one opportunity leads to the next. It's a gift and it's a treasure, and that's exactly what's written. And when you read this circumstance here, it's more in detail to what, I'm not a good writer, I would have to tell you, I know I'm not. My writing capability came from my one class of creative writing, because I was interested in what I could do. And I have done that. I've written many things in my, you know, it's a gift. And I've realized that if we follow through, if you will follow me, if there's a one person in this location, out of this group here, that could stand up and say, I'm the one that will lead this from here today. That's what we're looking for. We need to have that administrative staff. We need to have that group of individuals that comes together on a regular basis to do this, to come together. This is the first step. This is the first step. But it's the second step from the standpoint of this being an exhibition. That first exhibition that was done in 2015 was, it's written in here, why we did it. And if you come together the same way, we have the opportunity to make a difference that's unbelievable. We can change the circumstance of gender equality in the United States and in the international community, and I'm absolutely convinced of this. That's all I have to say. I don't know what else I can say. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to talk. I'm not afraid to write and to do something that will, in fact. That's been the whole idea behind Kerf International Exhibitions, and particularly Kerf International Arts. It's about all the arts now. It's not about just exhibiting. It's about all the arts. Film, poetry, you name it. You know, I mean, it's all the arts. That's what's important about today. And Kerf International used to be simply Kerf International Exhibits. It's much more than that now. And I would invite you, if you can. I'm not putting anybody on the spot to do anything, but I can tell you today, I have membership applications here, if some of you want to do that. Did any work art sell today? No. Did any artwork sell in the first exhibition in 2015? One piece sold. Okay? That's not what it's about. It's about the opportunity to get another artist creating, to have that circumstance of meditation, if you will, of a higher plane. Thank you.